apply lubricant on there unless the manufacturer of that termination is telling you how to do it with a different torque range. And if you go beyond electrical systems, that's really critical in engine building. If you're lubricating those bolts, you're creating a big time problem unless they tell you to do that. That's especially a problem when you're putting your heads and your cranks together.
Right.
All right, some other problems through this. Missing knockouts. No equipment grounds. Check your jurisdiction, see if that's required. We already talked about the different types of breakers. If you're seeing this with paint on it, assume you have a problem. When you look at the inside of the panel, you can see how much paint's on it. Here we talked about the grounded conductor. This is the grounded conductor. Yeah, this is the grounded conductor. It's terminated improperly. Good catch. Okay, this is the type of breaker we spoke about that it is permitted to put 2 wires on it. See that this is a clamp? It has 2 little raised areas. That is listed for terminating 2 wires. Not a problem at all. These are not. So be careful. We also touched on this a little bit earlier in the presentation. This is a skinny 2-pole. You should not see a black and a red wire on here. If you're seeing that, you need to start asking questions. Because more than likely, you've got 2 conductors from a multi-wire circuit on the same leg or the same phase. So be careful there as well. We already said that it's okay to splice inside of a panel. Not a problem. Can I take these 2 conductors, take a pigtail up, and terminate on that 30 amp breaker? Maybe. Check your plan. See what the loads are. See what the registrant, if it's an engineered set of plans, says. You might be able to do it. Don't automatically assume it's a problem. You really need to research things before you turn them down. Let's see. We're talking about here, suitable for use of service equipment. You are allowed to treat this service equipment as long as you have not more than 6 mains. If I put another breaker in here, it's all done. I have to put a single main. Again, go back and do 2 things. The equipment has to be suitable for use of service equipment. Check the plan, see what the engineer of record is requesting that you put in. If they want a single main, you will put a single main in there. That is their prerogative. Again, some of the things that you see here. Suitable for use with 75-degree conductors. If the breakers are rated 60/75 degree, then I can treat all my ampacity, my terminations in this equipment and use the 75-degree table for all my conductors.
Even Romex?
Except for Romex. Good catch. It's still going to be limited to 60° C because of the cable construction. Thank you. Good catch. Suitable for use of service equipment when not more than 6 main disconnectings are provided, and when not used as a lighting appliance branch circuit panel board. I can tell you this means to me that this panel was made a few years ago, because right now the NEC doesn't list anything as a lighting appliance circuit panel. Here they're discussing how the neutrals are to be used. Here, use only square D type HOM and Class CTL HOM-T branch circuit breakers in this product. If you're seeing someone else's product in here, they're already telling you, no, it's not listed for that purpose. What are the things we see in sub-panels? See this neutral bar comes across with this tie? Looking at this, this is suitable for use as service equipment because they provided this strap. When we're using this as a sub-panel, we have to remove this. If I leave this and I remove this bar, can I use this for a ground bar? Is that acceptable? I see some people saying no. Why?
In this particular example, you've got a ground bar.
Forget the ground bars here.
Oh, well.
It doesn't exist for my question. What if I remove this?
Can't
Isolate it.
Don't tell me I can't.
I got a saw.
I guarantee you I can take that out of there.
Simple saws on.
Just as it says listed with us, 3, 3, 4.
You have a lot of people that are allowing them, and in this type of bar, or this manufacturer, the only way to remove this is to physically cut it out. You need to be extremely careful here. I know GE panels will allow you to move this, remove this, and treat it that way. To my knowledge, at this time, no other manufacturer allows that. This bar has to stay in place.
Siemens.
You have to augment it with.
Siemens actually, and in their instructions, they actually tell you, if you remove this bar becomes the ground bar, and this bar becomes the neutral. And the part to watch out for is the amount of breaker spaces. By the standard for panel boards, they're required to have a certain amount of neutral spaces and a certain amount of ground spaces. And if you look, those bars are really long. Read the information on the inside of the panel board, because they tell you, yes you can or no you can't.
Beyond just saying that you can't do this, one of the reasons that this might be a problem, depending on manufacturer, this bar becomes a structural element in the case of a fault. This is applying rigidity to this piece of equipment, so when you apply a fault to it, it's not whipping around in there, becoming dislodged and becoming a problem for you. So taking this out may structurally weaken this panel to the point that it's not acceptable. Follow your installation instructions. You can't just take that out. Also, for the purpose of this photo, we have 6 switches, don't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we comply with the 6 switch rule. Here in 2007, you can see that they removed the requirement for power panel boards and lighting panel boards. They're just panel boards now. There are going to be times in older pieces of equipment where you might see coming off of a transformer, for instance, feeders coming up and terminating on this panel board with no overcurrent protective device. That's not allowed today. But for power panel boards, prior to 2007, it was legal. There are certain requirements that you had to comply with, but again, it was acceptable. So if you see this in the field 5, 10 years from now, don't automatically say that was done incorrectly or without a permit. You need to do some research. What they're trying to tell you with this slide is basically that a panel board is required to have overcurrent protection. If you were to look on a 1 line, this is my service. Come out with an overcurrent device. Come over here, feed this main lug only panel. This is a 200 amp breaker, and this is a 200 amp panel. Have I met those requirements there? This panel is protected by an overcurrent device.
Michael, are you in trouble with that?
Feed through panel where they have lugs on either side. If I did this, this is a 100 amp panel. Did I protect it?
That's gonna last a lot of time.
No, I did not protect that panel board. This is actually a fairly common, that should not really a true statement. This is something you need to watch out for. What I might be able to do with
Yeah,
this
we're getting busy now. We had about 4 or 5
is
slow
put
months.
in a 100 amp breaker,
We had so much turnover.
and now it would be protected. Okay? So there's a way to address this, but on the surface, all I'm trying to do is you have to protect these panel boards, just like wiring. They also need protection. Is it time for another break?
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Dang, that was quick. I'm surprised I even got hit out.
Because you had to
Now,
give a copy.
Are you watching Submarines?
Dude, I know what's wrong.
what time is it? Is it really 3:30?
I take you back, or what? Now I come?
Absolutely, too late here.
Still got it in the
Come back in a few
contract.
minutes, we'll get out your report.
It's on one of the cars.